Joining us now to wrap up the week that was as far as earnings go, former investment banker, House of Cards author, and Bloomberg contributing editor, William Cohan. We just call you Bill. We annoy your mother, but we just call you Bill.
That's all right. She's not watching.
All right. Okay. She actually has a life. And okay. Yeah. So what do you think about what you've seen? I mean, Adam was just telling us loan loss provisions for Bank of America still indicating consumer is the weak link. We heard it from JP Morgan's Jamie Dimon. We saw it in their results. Is this still just the big issue that most banks have to face?
Well, absolutely. If you're a depository institution, yes, working through these loan losses, the consumer receivables, credit card receivables, all that is still a big problem for these big banks. But it's really a tale of two cities, right? You have, Goldman Sachs sort of pulling away without that consumer business, making huge amounts of money in their trading operations that, of course, as they like to say, are dependent upon their client relationships, and that's absolutely right. And you have JP Morgan, who's also figured out a way to make money from investment banking, but still being dragged down a little bit by their consumer franchise, and Bank of America not yet making as much money as they could be making from their investment banking operations, dragged down even more by their consumer operations.
It begs a sustainability issue as well as far as all these results go. I mean, if you're just making money from fixed income trading, you better hope your traders are right going forward.
Well, and when the dynamics change, I mean, when interest rates begin to rise and when capital is not quite as inexpensive as it is at the moment, that also adds another layer of complexity to their trading operations that they have to be ready to grapple with as well. Yes, what's the antithesis of the perfect storm? I mean, the conditions have been perfect between the loss of competitors for Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan, who are pulling away to make money, and it's still tough for the Citigroups, the Bank of America, Wells Fargo. We'll see. Maybe even Morgan Stanley will make money this quarter. Who knows?
Is there any conclusion that you can draw from what you've seen so far? I mean, whether it's Darwinian banking, this whole process is in fact in existence, and JP Morgan is the winner. Is there anything that you can take out of what you've seen so far this week?
Look, I mean, we've been through a traumatic experience, and I think the repercussions of that are still, being felt, and we're coming to grips with it. In terms of long-term trends, I mean, I think you're going to see these firms continue to get healthier, which is the whole idea. You're going to see increasing competition from smaller firms, boutique firms, and you're going to see a reordering of the landscape on Wall Street slowly but surely.
Speaking of boutique firms, Bill, I have to ask you, with the sad passing of Bruce Wasserstein, something we discussed earlier this week, there appears to be a bit of a horse race. We don't know if it's a power struggle yet inside the firm as for who's going to take over. Steve Golub, the interim CEO, who's your money on?
Well, I think, the media loves the horse race, Erik, and I just don't see it here. I think Steve Golub is the natural choice. Interim is a title that they're using at the moment.
I mean, there's a lot of very senior people there.
Of course. I mean, and Gary would probably be a great long-term leader of the firm. People like Terry Savage also have been mentioned, Ken Jacobs. But, I think Steve Golub is the right guy for the moment. Gary Parr has never evidenced any interest in running a firm. So, I mean, to have him think that he would do it now, it's possible, but I don't see it as likely.
Did it surprise you very briefly, this account in the Wall Street Journal? There was a moment of silence inside the firm, and then it was, let's get back to work?
That sounds like Wall Street to me, Erik.
Sounds like Lazard, I suppose, as well. Bill, thank you so very much.
Sure.
Bill Cohan wrote the book on Lazard and Bear Stearns, and he's our contributing editor.